More about this and Kamala Harris's visit. I'm joined by Ernesto CASTANEDA, who's the director of the Immigration Lab at the American University in Washington, D.C. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Now, Kamala Harris has been under a great deal of political pressure to visit the border, but is anything concrete likely to emerge from this trip in terms of the Biden administration's policy on migration there?
Yeah, good evening. Thank you for having me. To a big degree, this visit is symbolic. That's why Kamala Harris was not in a rush to do it. She was trying to make the argument that to fix the immigration issue is going to be a long-term process. She cannot fix it just by one visit to the border to Central America. At the same time, it's important that she was able to go to see things on the ground, to meet with Border Patrol agents, to see that the federal government, Washington, D.C., is caring, is keeping an eye on their processes, that they treat immigrants with respect, with humanity, with professionalism. And if something was accomplished today, it was this division of labor that they spelled out in their short press conference. As the Secretary of Homeland Security, Mayorkas, stated, Vice President Harris was given the task of addressing the root causes in Central America and Mexico on the long term. Mayorkas is in charge himself of addressing the immigration process, the treatment of immigrants in the border in these facilities. And then they call directly with congressmen present for the U.S. Congress to pass immigration reform in order to change the laws and the way that immigrants are received, because there are indeed systemic issues that keep creating problems president after president. So that has to be addressed by Congress.
There has been a spike in the numbers of people trying to cross into the US across the southern border in recent months. We've got the latest preliminary government figures which have just come in. They say they're on pace for the highest level since the year 2000. More than 1 million arrests of people on that border in the fiscal year of 2021. What do you put this rise in numbers down to yourself?
Yeah, those are official figures, but we have to be careful. And as an immigration scholar, we know that apprehensions are not the same as the number of people, because immigrants are not asking for asylum and are trying to pass undocumented without papers. They may try many times to cross. So the same person may be apprehended 3 or 5 times, but it should be only counted once. So if we count these people that are apprehended multiple times once, they were not that different from 3, 4, 5 years ago. And actually, in some years past, we saw actually higher numbers. So we have to be a little careful. It's useful for the Border Patrol to inflate the numbers, to say that they need more resources, more personnel. But actually, it's not necessarily that the border is out of control, as some Republicans are trying to paint the picture. The number of unaccompanied minors has actually been now stable and is completely under control. Also, let's remember that last year, because of the COVID pandemic, the border was closed to most immigrants, most travelers, most border residents. So we're going to naturally see a spike now that the U.S. economy is reopening. We also hopefully going to see the end of Title 42, which right now bans adults for asking for asylum in the U.S. There's talk that this may end at the end of July. So then they will see an increase in people, particularly coming to us for asylum, as is their right under international law. So I wouldn't speak of a crisis happening right now, and this increase in numbers is not something that we should worry about, but it tells us about the importance of having more judges, more staff, more case workers, social workers, people assigning these minors to their families and then taking families very soon on, and the need for an immigration reform for people to be able to come here legally with work visas, etc.
Yeah, clearly a very complex situation indeed. Thank you very much for giving us your insights on that, Ernesto CASTANEDA, the director of the Immigration Lab at the American University in DC. Thank you.